Hello, Presbyterians. Paul here again. Have to excuse my voice. I'm just recovering from a virus. I thought today I might read a small excerpt from The Reformed Pastor by Richard Baxter, English Puritan. Don't be put off by the title that it's written for pastors or about pastors. I found this so encouraging and applicable to any Christian man or head of household in how to better exercise godly living. And in particular, today I'd like to read you just a small section as concerns families and family worship. I think we can all learn a lot from Richard Baxter's guidance for how ministers and families should operate themselves in the life of the church. Excuse me. All these are the objects of the ministerial work, and in respect to each of them, we must take heed to all the flock. We must have a special eye upon families to see that they are well ordered, and the duties of each relation performed. The life of religion and the welfare and glory of both the church and the state depend much on family government and duty. If we suffer the neglect of this, we shall undo all. What are we like to do to ourselves, to the reforming of a congregation, if all the work be cast on us alone, and masters of families neglect the necessary duty of their own, by which they are bound to help us? If any good be begun by the ministry in any soul, a careless, prayerless, worldly family is likely to stifle it, or very much hinder it. Whereas, if you could but get the rulers of families to do their duty, to take up the work where you left it, and help it on, what abundance of good might be done. I beseech you, therefore, if you desire the reformation and welfare of your people, do all you can to promote family religion. To this end, let me entreat you to attend to the following things. 1. Get information how each family is ordered, that you may know how to proceed in your endeavours for their further good. 2. Go occasionally among them, when they are likely to be at most at leisure, and ask the master of the family whether he prays with them, and reads the Scripture, or what he doth. Labour to convince such as neglect this of their sin, and if you have opportunity, pray with them before you go, and give them an example of what you would have them do. Perhaps, too, it might be well to get a promise from them that they will make more conscience of their duty for the future. 3. If you find any, through ignorance and want of practice, unable to pray, persuade them to study their own wants and to get their hearts affected with them, and, in the meanwhile, advise them to use a form of prayer, rather than not pray at all. Tell them, however, that it is their sin and shame that they have lived so negligently, as to be so unacquainted with their own necessities, as not to know how to speak to God in prayer, when every beggar can find words to ask an alms, and, therefore, that a form of prayer is but for necessity, as a crutch to a cripple, while they cannot do well without it. But they must resolve not to be content with it, but to learn to do better as speedily as possible, seeing that prayer should come from the feelings of the heart, and be varied according to our necessities and circumstances. 4. See that in every family there are some useful moving books besides the Bible. If they have none, persuade them to buy some. If they be not able to buy them, give them some if you can. If you are not able yourself, get some gentlemen or other rich persons that are ready to do good works to do it, and engage them to read at night when they have leisure, and especially on the Lord's Day. 5. Direct them how to spend the Lord's Day, how to dispatch their worldly business so as to prevent encumbrances and distractions, and when they have been at church, how to spend the time in their families. The life of religion dependeth much on this, because poor people have no other free considerable time, and therefore if they lose this, they lose all, and will remain ignorant and brutish. Persuade the master of every family to cause his children and servants to repeat the catechism to him every Sabbath evening, and to give him some account of what they have heard at church during the day. Neglect not, I beseech you, this important part of your work. Get masters of families to do their duty, and they will not only spare you a great deal of labour, but will much further the success of your labours. If a captain can get the officers under him to do their duty, he may rule the soldiers with much less trouble than if all lay upon his own shoulders. You are not like to see any general reformation till you procure family reformation. Some little religion there may be, here... Some little religion there may be, here and there. But while it is confined to single persons and is not promoted in families, it will not prosper, nor promise much future increase. I hope you found that encouraging, and I hope you maybe even consider getting this book. Goodbye.